The wind whispered through the trees, carrying stories as old as the land. Beneath the towering baobabs, secrets lay hidden in the rustling leaves and the quiet earth. Deep in the Ashanti forest, something waited, a mystery meant for those brave enough to seek it. The night was warm, filled with the scent of earth and wood smoke. A fire crackled in the middle of the village, its light dancing on the faces around it. Granny Abena leaned forward, her voice low and mysterious. The forest is always listening, she said. Some say it even speaks, but only to those who truly listen. Amma sat among the children, her heart racing with excitement. She had always felt something special in the forest, something she couldn't quite explain. But tonight, as Granny's words wrapped around her like the night breeze, she made a decision. She would listen. And maybe, just maybe, the forest would answer. The Curious Girl and the Whispering Forest. Once upon a time, in the lush and vibrant Ashanti region, nestled between rolling green hills and winding rivers, there was a small village named Nkinkim. The village was a place of warmth and laughter, where elders shared stories under the great baobab tree, and children played beneath the golden rays of the setting sun. Among these children was Amma, a curious and adventurous young girl with bright, inquisitive eyes. Amma had always been drawn to the forest's wonders bordering her village. She spent her afternoons wandering beneath the towering trees, tracing the delicate veins of fallen leaves and listening to the songs of colorful birds. The villagers often spoke of magical creatures living deep within the forest, their voices carrying whispers of old legends. They said the trees murmured secrets, stories passed down from generation to generation. Some believed the whispers were the voices of ancient ancestors watching over the land. Others said the trees carried memories, speaking only to those willing to listen. On many evenings, Amma would sit cross legged by the fire as the village elder, Granny Abena, wove tales of the forest's past. The children gathered close, their eyes wide with wonder as she spoke. The flames danced, casting flickering shadows on the gathered children. The air is rich with the scent of burning wood and the distant hum of the forest. Granny Abena sits on a wooden stool, wrapped in colorful kente cloths, her silver hair glowing in the firelight. The children sit cross legged before her, their faces full of wonder. Amma, wide eyed and eager, leans closer. Long ago, before the stars you see now had settled into the sky, this forest was home to seen and unseen beings. The great Iroko tree in the heart of the woods once sheltered the forest keepers, spirits that protected the land and whispered secrets to those who would listen. Amma, eyes shining, leaning forward, whispers like real voices. What did they sound like? Granny Abena, nodding, amused by Amma's excitement. Soft, like the wind playing with the leaves. Sometimes deep, like the rumbling of the earth. Other times so faint you would think it was just your thoughts. Amma, excitedly interrupting. Did people talk back? Did they understand them? Granny Abena, laughing softly, shaking her head. Not everyone, my child. The forest speaks in its way. But long ago, our people understood. They knew that to take from the land, they must also give. They greeted trees before cutting them, thanked the river before drinking from it, and listened before they acted. The fire pops, sending a spray of sparks into the night. The children gasp, but Granny only continues, her voice steady and full of meaning. Granny Abena, but there was a time when the people of Nginkim forgot the ways of the forest. They took more than they gave, cut trees without gratitude, hunted without purpose, and soon the whispers turned to warnings. The winds carried sorrow instead of song. Amma, shivering, hugging her knees. What kind of warnings? Granny Abena, pausing, her eyes distant as if recalling a memory. The river dried where it once flowed freely. The animals that once roamed near the village vanished into the forest's depths, and the trees, oh, the trees, they stood silent, their wisdom locked away. A hush falls over the children. Even the crickets seem to listen. Amma frowns, her mind racing with thoughts. Amma, softly, tilting her head. Then, what happened next? Granny Abena, smiling knowingly, eyes twinkling in the firelight. One day, a young girl, like you, Amma, ventured too far into the woods. She was drawn by the whispers, not out of fear, but curiosity. Amma, grinning, interrupting again. Did she go alone? Wasn't she scared? Granny Abena, chuckling, shaking her head. Curiosity is stronger than fear, my dear. She wandered deeper and deeper until she found herself before an ancient tortoise. Amma, gasping, nearly bouncing in her seat. Kofi? Granny Abena, lifting a brow amused. Ah, you are a sharp child. Yes, an old tortoise, wise beyond measure, but he did not give answers easily. No, no. He spoke in riddles and tales, teaching her the language of the forest, the rustling leaves, the shifting winds, the murmurs of the river. Amma, whispering, mesmerized, the language of the forest. Granny Abina, nodding. Yes, my child. And with time, she learned that wisdom is not just in knowing, but also in listening. For a moment, all is quiet. The fire crackles, the wind stirs the trees, and somewhere in the distance, an owl hoots. Amma sits still, her mind swirling with possibilities. The other children watch Granny with wide eyes, waiting. Amma, determined, leaning in. And then, what did she do with what she learned? Granny Abena only smiles, letting the silence stretch. Alma huffs in frustration, but she doesn't push. She knows Granny will not give her everything at once. Some answers must be earned, just like the girl in the story. The flames flicker, the night deepens, and in the forest's heart, the whispers continue, waiting for those willing to listen. Granny Abena smiled knowingly. One day, a young girl like you, Amma, ventured too far into the woods. She was drawn by the whispers, not out of fear, but curiosity. Deep within, she met an ancient tortoise who spoke riddles and tales. He taught her the language of the forest, the rustling leaves, the shifting winds, the murmurs of the river. And with time, she learned that wisdom is not just in knowing, but in listening. That night, Amma dreamt of the forest. She saw towering trees bending toward her, their gnarled branches forming a path. The wind carried voices, soft, echoing, familiar. Come find us, they whispered. There is more to see, more to learn. A golden firefly hovered before her, leading her deeper into the unknown. The lost village, the whispers of the trees, the spirits that once guarded the land. Each image flickered like firelight in her mind, but the clearest of all was the voice in the wind, calling her deeper into the forest. When she awoke, the morning sun had barely touched the rooftops of Nkinkim, but her heart already knew. Today, she would go beyond where she had ever dared before. Today, she would seek the truth. She awoke with a start, her heart racing. The whisper still lingered in her ears. The next afternoon, Amma found herself standing at the forest's edge, her fingers brushing the bark of an ancient tree. Closing her eyes, she listened. The rustling leaves, the distant call of a hornbill, the gurgling of an unseen stream. It was all a song, a message waiting to be understood. Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward, determined to uncover the truth behind the whispering forest and the creatures that dwelled within. One golden afternoon, as the sun painted the sky in hues of amber and crimson, Amma wandered farther than she ever had before. The forest around her grew quieter, save for the rustling leaves and distant hoots of owls waking from their slumber. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and blooming flowers, hinting at untold secrets buried within the land. She noticed something glistening beneath a large baobab tree as she stepped over a moss-covered log. There, resting in the cool shade, was an old tortoise. Its shell gleamed in the fading sunlight. patterns etched upon it like the stories of time itself. Alma's eyes widened as she approached cautiously. Are you the wise Kofi the tortoise? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Kofi lifted his wrinkled face and chuckled, his deep voice carrying the weight of many years. Wisdom is not just in age, little one, but in experience. Would you like to hear a story? Amma nodded eagerly, settling onto the soft earth beside him. The forest around them seemed to hold its breath as if even the trees wished to listen. Kofi studied Amma for a moment before speaking. Tell me, little one, why have you come so far into the forest? Amma hesitated. I heard the whispers. Granny Abina says the forest remembers. I wanted to know if it was true. The tortoise gave a knowing smile. Ah, the whispers. You are not wrong, child. This forest has seen many things and speaks to those who listen. But what you hear is not just the past, the future also calling you. Amma's heart pounded with excitement. The future? Kofi nodded slowly. Yes, but one must learn from the past before one can understand the future. He paused, then continued. Long ago, before your village was built, there was another, a village that no longer exists. Its people like you were drawn to the wonders of the forest. But unlike you, they did not listen. They took and took, never giving back, never asking permission. The spirits of the land grew angry, and one day the village vanished, swallowed by the earth, reclaimed by the trees. Amma's breath caught in her throat. Swallowed? How? Kofi sighed. Some say the river rose and washed it away. Others say the roots of the trees pulled it under. But the truth, child, is that the village disappeared because it had forgotten its place. The forest does not harm those who respect it, but will not be ignored. Amma shivered despite the warmth of the afternoon and the whispers. Are they the voices of that lost village? Kofi's eyes twinkled. Perhaps, or perhaps they are warnings and reminders not to make the same mistakes. But tell me, little one, now that you know the truth, what will you do with it? Amma swallowed hard. She had so many questions, but one thing was sure. She needed to understand more. She needed to listen, just as Granny Abena had said. I want to learn, she said finally. I want to hear the whispers, to understand what they're saying. Kofi smiled. Good. Then your journey begins now. The wind rustled through the trees, whispering softly, almost approvingly. Amma felt a shiver of anticipation. There was more to discover, more secrets waiting in the depths of the whispering forest. But what would she find next? Kofi's voice dropped to a whisper as the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the earth. Tomorrow we shall begin. But remember, little one, some truths are hidden for a reason. Amma's eyes sparkled with curiosity. She didn't know what lay ahead, but was ready to find out. And so the forest's whispers carried on, waiting for the one who would listen. Kofi's eyes twinkled with something Amma couldn't quite understand. He had more to say. She could feel it. But he simply stretched his old limbs and let the silence settle between them. You ask many questions, little one, he said finally, but some answers must be lived, not spoken. Amma frowned. Lived? What did that mean? She would have to find out. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting golden shafts of light through the thick canopy above. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves, carrying the distant scent of blooming flowers and the sound of a trickling stream. Amma sat cross-legged before Kofi, her eyes gleaming with anticipation. The old tortoise stretched his wrinkled neck slightly, studying her with a knowing smile. You are ready to listen, Kofi said, his voice rich with wisdom. Amma nodded eagerly. Tell me more, Kofi. Tell me the tale of the great mountain. The tortoise took a slow, deliberate breath, his gaze drifting toward the horizon. Ah, the great mountain. Many years ago, before your village, before even the whispers of this forest, I had a dream to climb to the very top of the towering mountain that looms over these lands, to see what lay beyond its peak, to understand what only the sky seemed to know. Amma leaned forward, drawn in by the depth of his words. Did others try before you? Kofi chuckled, his shell shifting slightly as he adjusted himself. Oh, many tried. Many were faster, stronger, and more daring than I. The hare, the antelope, even the eagle. They laughed at me when I told them my dream. Amma frowned. Laughed? Why? They said I was too slow. Kofi continued. The hare scoffed. You will never make it with those short legs of yours. The antelope snorted. The mountain is no place for a creature like you. And even the mighty eagle who soars above all shook his head and said, You are bound to the earth, old one. This journey is beyond you. Amma's brow furrowed. That's not fair. They judged you before you even tried. Kofi's eyes twinkled. That is often the way of the world, little one. But wisdom is knowing that the world's doubts do not define you. He paused, letting his words sink in before continuing. I did not listen to them. Instead, I took one step, slow, steady, but forward. Amma clutched at the earth beneath her, her heart pounding with anticipation. And what happened? Kofi's voice softened, his tone almost reverent. The others raced ahead. The hare, swift and sure, dashed up the mountain in moments. The antelope leapt effortlessly from rock to rock, and the eagle, proud and certain, took to the sky. They thought they had already conquered the mountain before they had even begun. But the mountain is wise, Amma. It does not let those who are unprepared reach its peak. Amma's eyes widened. What do you mean? One by one, they turned back. Kofi's voice carried a quiet triumph. The hare, though fast, grew tired too soon. He had used all his energy in the first stretch and could not keep going. The antelope, who trusted his speed and agility, lost his way in the twisting paths of the mountain. And the eagle, who thought himself above the struggle, found that the winds grew too strong, forcing him to retreat. Amma gasped. So none of them made it? Kofi shook his head. None of them. He paused, then continued. But I kept going, through the rain and under the blazing sun, over jagged rocks and through thick mist. I did not rush, nor did I falter. I listened to the whisper of the trees, the murmur of the wind, and the quiet patience of the earth beneath me. Amma's chest swelled with admiration. And then Kofi smiled, his eyes glistening with the memory. After many days, I reached the top. He closed his eyes as if seeing it all over again. And Amma, the view, oh, the view. It was more beautiful than I'd ever imagined. A sea of green stretched as far as the eye could see. The rivers gleamed like silver veins weaving through the land. The sky was so close I could almost touch it. Amma sighed, utterly captivated. You did what no one believed you could do. Kofi nodded. Yes, and that, little one, is the lesson. He looked deep into her eyes. Speed is not always the answer. Strength does not always guarantee success. Patience, perseverance, and willingness to embrace the journey truly lead to victory. Amma was silent momentarily, her mind turning over his words. Then she asked, But Kofi, did you ever come back down? Kofi chuckled. Ah, a wise question. He let the silence stretch before answering. Yes, I did. What is the point of reaching great heights if you cannot share what you have learned? Amma smiled, understanding now. So that's why you tell these stories. The tortoise nodded. Exactly. Stories are like mountains, Amma. Some climb them only for themselves, others climb so they can guide those who come after. A hush settled over the forest as if the trees had absorbed Kofi's tale's wisdom. Amma felt something shift inside her, a deep, unshakable determination. If Kofi could reach the top of the mountain, despite all odds, she could surely overcome whatever lay ahead. The sun had begun its slow descent, casting long shadows across the earth. Amma stretched her legs and stood, feeling a newfound sense of purpose. Thank you, Kofi. I think I understand now. Kofi's eyes gleamed. Good. But your journey is far from over, little one. Amma tilted her head. What do you mean? The tortoise's voice dropped to a whisper. The forest has many lessons yet to teach you, and not all of them are gentle. A chill ran down Amma's spine. She glanced around as if expecting the trees to shift, the wind to carry a new whisper. Somewhere deep in the forest, a distant hoot of an owl echoed through the twilight. Amma swallowed hard, but her feet did not waver. She was ready for whatever came next. The journey was only beginning. Amma lay awake, staring at the ceiling of her hut. The dream still clung to her, like mist on the morning grass, and every word and image burned into her mind. The creature's voice echoed within her. What will you do with this knowledge? She didn't have the answer, not yet, but she knew one thing. She could never see the world the same way again. Amma returned to the great baobab tree as the days passed, replaying Kofi's story in her mind. The wise tortoise's words had settled deep within her heart, stirring something she had never felt. She had always been quick to act, eager to finish tasks, but now she wondered, had she been missing the true beauty of life by rushing through it? One evening, as the village gathered around the fire, Granny Abena began another of her tales. Amma sat among the children, her ears tuned to every word. There was once a young girl, Granny Abena began, her voice crackling like the fire's embers. She wished to learn the ancestors' ways, to understand the whispers of the land, but she was impatient. She wanted answers quickly, without listening, without waiting. And so the spirits of the forest tested her. They sent her a dream, a vision to teach her the lesson she desperately needed. Amma's breath hitched. The dream. She had been having strange dreams since meeting Kofi. She saw herself walking through the endless forest, guided by a soft golden light each night. Sometimes she heard whispers, but she could never understand them. What if they were speaking to her? As she lay beneath her woven blanket that night, she willed herself to listen. If the spirits wished to show her something, she was ready. She found herself in the forest once more, bathed in silver moonlight. But this time she was not alone. A figure stood before her, a shimmering creature with a panther's body and an eagle's wings. Its eyes, deep and endless, glowed like twin stars. Amma, the creature spoke, his voice neither male nor female, but something ancient and powerful. You seek answers, but do you know the right questions? Amma hesitated. I want to understand the whispers, the stories, the lessons Kofi spoke of. I want to know what the forest is trying to tell me. The creature chuckled softly. Ah, knowledge is not something given, it is something earned. Come. With a powerful leap, the creature soared into the air, and before Amma could react, she felt herself being lifted as well. She was flying, the wind rushing past her, the forest stretching below. The river shimmered like silver snakes, and the mountains rose like slumbering giants. Look below, the creature commanded. What do you see? Amma's eyes scanned the land, the village, the trees, the rivers. Everything looks so small from up here. Does it? The creature mused. Or is it only now that you see the whole picture? Amma frowned. I I don't understand. Wisdom is not just in knowing, the creature said, but in seeing. You have spent your life looking at the world from the ground, rushing from one place to another. But from above, you can see how everything is connected. The rivers do not rush. They carve their paths over time. The trees do not grow overnight. They stretch slowly toward the sky. Even the tortoise, though slow, reaches its destination. Amma's heart pounded. Like Kofi's journey up the mountain, the creature nodded. Now, tell me, little one, what will you do with this knowledge? Amma thought deeply. She had always believed that reaching the end of something was most important, but now she saw that each step, each moment, had its own meaning. She would no longer rush through her lessons, chores, or life. She would listen, observe, and understand. I will be patient, she said finally. I will learn to appreciate the journey. The creature smiled. Then your true journey has just begun. The wind howled, and everything around her faded into darkness. Amma awoke with a start, her heart still racing. The dream had felt so real. She knew now that it was not just a dream, it was a lesson. The next morning, she went to Kofi, who was basking in the warm sunlight. I had a dream, she told him, recounting every detail. When she finished, Kofi smiled knowingly. You have seen what few ever do, he said. The forest has shared its wisdom with you. Now you must carry it forward. Amma nodded, but something else was still troubling her. Kofi? She asked hesitantly. Why me? Why did the forest choose to speak to me? Kofi's wise eyes gleamed. Because you chose to listen, Amma. The whispers are always there, but few have the patience to hear them. Amma sat in silence, absorbing his words. She thought of all the times she had been too hurried to notice the small wonders around her: the dew on the leaves, the rustling of the wind, the quiet wisdom in the voices of the elders. She had been blind to so much. She looked around, truly seeing the world for the first time: the gentle sway of the trees, the soft hum of insects, the way the sunlight danced on the river's surface. Everything was alive, telling its own story, and she was finally ready to listen. Seasons passed, and Amma grew wise beyond her years. Like Granny Abena, she became a storyteller, sitting beneath the great baobab tree and sharing her wisdom with younger children. And so, the lesson of the old tortoise and the whispers of the forest lived on, carried through generations like the wind rustling through the leaves. For in life, it is not the speed of our steps, but the journey itself that truly matters. And as Amma sat one evening, gazing at the endless sky, she heard the familiar whisper in the wind: there is still more to learn. And she smiled, knowing her journey was far from over. Seasons passed, and Amma grew wise beyond her years. She became a storyteller, sitting beneath a great baobab tree, sharing Kofi's wisdom with younger children. And so the lesson of the old tortoise spread far and wide, a tale whispered through generations, carried on the wind like the songs of the birds in the lush Ashanti forests. For in life, it is not the speed of our steps, but the journey itself that truly matters. As Amma sat beneath a baobab tree, telling her own stories, a gust of wind carried the whisper once more. There is still more to learn, and she smiled because she knew her journey was far from over. Granny Abena, stories never truly end, my children. They live on in those who carry them forward. If you have listened, if you have felt the whispers in the wind, then the journey is yours to continue. Amma looks up at the stars, her heart full of wonder. She knows this is not the last tale she will hear or tell. And if you too wish to hear more stories woven from wisdom and wonder, subscribe now. Let the whispers of the past guide us forward. Together, click the subscribe button and join us on this journey of stories, lessons, and the magic hidden in every tale.